Check this out. This is a picture of an experimental flying bicycle from the 1900s. The USS Arizona during the attack on Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. This was way back in 1941. This amazing photo shows a diver demonstrating how he captured images of the Royal Navy submarine HMS Thetis. He did it by strapping a Leica camera inside his helmet and holding the trigger between his teeth. It was a pretty clever way to take pictures of the wreck, wasn't it? Here's a photo of Ernest Hemingway, probably when he was about 18 or 19 years old. This was around 1918. Chow time for some American infantrymen heading to La Roche, Belgium. This shot was taken in 1945 and shows soldiers from the 347th Infantry Regiment getting a meal. This is a photo of Hillary Rodham Clinton when she was just 22 years old back in 1969. This is a look inside the Vatican, specifically the Chambre des Bustes and the Galerie des Statues. The photo was taken around 1855. Here's a photo of kids playing on a cart in Harlem, New York, back in the 1920s. Looks like they're having a blast. Dorothy Counts, back in 1957, stood on the steps of Harry Harding High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. Here's a sweet image of a small family gathered right in front of their home. It looks like a peaceful, everyday moment, doesn't it? Here's a fascinating photo of the Tsar tank. This enormous Russian creation was built to overcome obstacles, and its size was definitely the key. You know, it was created during World War I. Here's a look back at the New York Stock Exchange in 1915. You can see some experienced ticker tape operators diligently working. They're really focused, probably keeping a close eye on all the action. Here's a cool shot. It's showing some of the activities aboard the USS Monterey. Looks like these Navy pilots are having a bit of fun in the forward elevator well, playing basketball. This was taken back in 1942. This photo shows children getting UV lamp treatments. They're looking at pictures to keep them entertained while it's happening. We don't know the exact date, but it's a heartwarming image of the lengths people go to for these kids. And here we have a classic, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This one's from 1908. Beautiful, isn't it? All right, here's a photo that's just pure gold. It shows a kid's reaction to meeting Andre the Giant back in the 1970s. You can just see the amazement in their eyes. Here's a great old photo. It shows Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks. And this was a really special moment. They're putting their handprints and signatures in cement outside the Chinese theater back in 1927. Can you believe it? They were actually the first two celebrities ever to do it. Here's a photo of the Brooks family. We see 13 sisters gazing at their only brother, Leslie Benjamin, just after he was born. This sweet moment happened at their home in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, back in 1954. Here's the Paris Opera, back in 1949. This photo shows the fascist politician Oswald Mosley getting knocked out. It happened back in October of 1937 during a march in Liverpool. You can see him there, giving the fascist salute when two stones, thrown by anti-fascists, mind you, hit him and knocked him unconscious. All right, here's a cool shot. We've got 3 old-school archers in Japan. This photo was taken way back in the 1860s. Pretty awesome, huh? This is the occultus, or Barbarossa, robot. It was shown off in Berlin back in 1909 by Mr. Adolf Whitman, a really well-known German inventor. Here's a lovely shot of Anne Fenton enjoying a drink in the bar of the Hotel Marazion over in Cornwall, England, and she's got her grey mare, Anita, with her. Perfect company. This photo shows a sign posted in front of the Memphis Zoo. It's from 1959, and it's announcing Negro Day, the only day of the week that African Americans were permitted to visit, and this was taken on a Thursday. This amazing photo shows the NBC radio sound effects technicians hard at work. They're capturing the sounds of an automobile accident back in the 1930s. It's fascinating to see how they did it, way before all the digital effects we have today. All right, here we go. We've got a photo of a dancing competition. Looks like a fun event. Here's a look back at gas mask production from 1943. This photo shows a television being used to teach a class of kids together in the United States back in 1967. The class includes both white and African American students, all learning together. Here's a photo of a cotton mill girl from 1908. These twin toddlers, bundled up on a Russian street, are so well protected against the cold that they look like penguins. This photo was taken in 1968. Take a look at this old photo from the winter of 1952. It shows folks in Idaho trying to navigate a really narrow road. You can just imagine how challenging that must have been. Here's a fun one. This photo shows Richard Nixon back in 1959 pretending to levitate. Here's a look at some experienced ticker tape operators, hard at work on the New York Stock Exchange back in 1915. They were diligently focused, making sure everything ran smoothly, and that they were precisely monitoring all the market activity. This chilling photo shows a slave torture device. The metal collar was likely used to stop someone from escaping through tight spaces, like windows. You can see this was taken way back in 1863. Here's a great shot. It shows U.S. cavalry soldiers posing in front of a giant sequoia in Yosemite. This one's called the Grizzly Giant, and the photo was taken way back in the year 1900. Check out this cool shot of the Alweg monorail train in Cologne, Germany. This photo was taken way back in 1952. Here's a photo showing bomb damage in Manchester during World War II. This photo shows the hull of the German airship, the Graf Zeppelin. It was taken way back in 1933, after they'd done some repairs over the South Atlantic. Looks like someone's had a bit too much fun. This photo shows someone drunk and enjoying themselves during World War II. Check out this fantastic shot. It shows women on motorcycles in Great Britain back in the 1930s. Amazing to see, isn't it? Here's the photo. It shows Gertrude Ederle, and she's making history. This was in 1926, when she became the very first woman to swim the English Channel. Here's a cool old photo. It looks like a cameraman is filming the New Year's celebration in Times Square, New York City, way back in 1946. Here's a photo of a child coal miner from around 1900. Here's a picture of the Harvard houseboat called Kia Ting Fu. It was taken way back in 1908. All right, check this out. This is northbound traffic on Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, and we're looking at it at Irving Park Road. It's the 5:30 rush hour, way back in the day. This photo was taken around August of 1947. All right, here's a funny one. This photo was taken around 1959 and shows some German triplets. They're all dressed up in traditional outfits, but they're also, well, picking their noses. Here's a photo of clowns visiting a children's hospital in Washington back in 1923. Here's a fun one. Check out these kids dressed up as Fidel Castro back in 1959. Here's a photo from World War I. It shows a female driver hard at work, using a spanner on a wheel. Here's a great shot of some American sailors back in 1918 enjoying themselves. They're watching their mascots, a dog named Fritz and a goat named Bill, getting up to some mischief. You can see the smiles on their faces. Seems like these animals really brighten their day. Here's a photograph of immigrants arriving at Ellis Island. You can really see the hope and determination on their faces, the faces of people seeking a new life in America. This picture was taken in 1904. Here's a photo of the Blackwell sisters. You know the ones known for their sharp wit and charm? Well, back in 1896 in New York City, they were actually accused of smuggling some pretty rare artifacts out of Europe. Can you imagine? Here's a look at a photograph of the Society of Toy Train Lovers. It was taken in Berlin, Germany, way back in 1931. Here's a cool old photo. This is a knocker-up in London from 1929. Before alarm clocks, can you believe it? People were actually paid to wake up their clients for work. They'd go around, knocking on doors and windows with a stick. Imagine that. This photo was taken on November 3rd, 1957, in Moscow, Russia. Meet Malishka, a Russian space dog and a pretty experienced astronaut at that. She's striking a pose here in her specially made spacesuit, which looks super snug, and she has a clear, transparent helmet beside her. This is Big Mary. She worked for a traveling circus, but her story took a tragic turn. It all happened in 1916, when the town of Irwin, Tennessee, arrested Mary. She was accused of murdering a trainer who had been beating her with a hook. The townspeople then hanged her from a crane. Check out this great shot of Betty Hutton and Ted Briskin. It looks like they're celebrating New Year's Eve at a New York nightclub. This was way back in 1945. Happy New Year, everyone. At 67 years old, Emma Rowena Gatewood told her adult children she was going out for a walk. What they didn't realize was that her walk would span 2,168 miles and make history. Here's a photo from China showing leprosy patients. It looks like this was taken sometime between 1890 and the 1910s. The person in the middle seems to have a very severe stage of the disease. Here's a photo of Herbert Hoover standing on board the cruiser USS Salt Lake City. This was back in 1931. Here's a shot of the International Sweethearts of Rhythm. They were the pioneering all-girl jazz swing group. You can see them here, with their band leader, Anna Mae Winburn, back in the 1940s. Here's a photo of newspaper delivery in Mexico City back in 1977. This photograph shows a sign put up by British forces at the entrance to the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. It was taken on the 29th of May, 1945. All right, check this out. Here's a photo of Patrick Swayze back in the 70s dancing. Looks like he's having a blast. This dramatic photo captures a tense moment in a Hollywood parking lot back in 1973. We see a security guard pointing his gun at a man named Edward F. Fisher. He's holding a woman, Ellen Sheldon, during what appears to be a kidnapping attempt. Talk about high stakes. Here's a shot of the Ku Klux Klan on a Ferris wheel back in 1926. Here's a shot of some boys playing amongst the tombstones. This was taken in Gorbals, Glasgow, back in 1948. Here's a scene from Hoboken, New Jersey, sometime around 1920. They're holding a service to honor American soldiers who gave their lives fighting in France during World War I. It's a really moving image. This is Jacob Miller, a Civil War veteran. Pretty incredible story, actually. This man was shot right between the eyes. And get this, he lived for 17 more years. Here's a picture of Corporal Jackie from England, taken in the year 1918. Here's the image. During the Battle of Britain in World War II, they actually painted cows with bright white paint. The reason? Well, it was to stop cars from hitting them during the nightly blackouts. Crazy, right? Here's a photo of the grave of a Catholic woman and her Protestant husband. This was taken in Holland back in 1888. A year after the D-Day landings in Normandy, we see German prisoners working to landscape the first U.S. cemetery. It's in Saint-Laurent-sur-Mer, France, right near Omaha Beach. This photo was taken on May 28, 1945. Wow, check out this beautiful woman. She looks like she's straight out of the 1920s, absolutely stunning.